Welcome to our countdown of the 25 most important battles in world history. Throughout history, pivotal battles have shaped the course of nations, empires, and entire civilizations. From ancient conflicts that changed the fate of empires to modern clashes that determined the outcomes of world wars, each of these battles played a crucial role in shaping the world we know today. In this video, we'll be counting down from 25 to 1, showcasing the most significant battles in human history, explaining their causes, key events, and long-lasting impacts. Let's begin our journey through time with number 25. Number 25, Battle of Megiddo, 1457 BC. The Battle of Megiddo is the earliest recorded military conflict in history, fought between Pharaoh Thutmose III of Egypt and a coalition of Canaanite kings led by the king of Kadesh. This pivotal battle allowed Egypt to solidify its control over the Levant. Thutmose's forces, numbering around 20,000, marched north and surprised the Canaanite army at Megiddo by choosing a risky but direct route. The Egyptian forces quickly overwhelmed the Canaanites, whose retreat left the city gates open for siege. After 7 months, the city surrendered, bringing immense spoils and furthering Egyptian dominance. This victory not only secured Thutmose's reputation as one of Egypt's greatest warrior pharaohs, but also established Megiddo's long-term significance as a strategic military site. The battle set a precedent for centuries of conflict in the region. Number 24, Battle of Marathon, 490 BC. The Battle of Marathon was a defining moment in the Greco-Persian Wars. Persian King Darius I sought revenge against Athens and Eretria for their support of the Ionian Revolt, launching an invasion of Greece. The Athenians, heavily outnumbered with around 10,000 hoplites, faced a Persian force estimated at up to 30,000. General Miltiades devised a strategy that focused on strong flanks and a thinner center. When the Persians attacked, the Athenian wings encircled them, leading to a decisive victory. The Persians lost around 6,400 men, while Athens suffered only around 192 casualties. This triumph preserved Athenian democracy and independence, and the Greek victory at Marathon became a symbol of the defense of freedom against tyranny. It also marked the first significant setback for the Persian Empire in its expansion into Europe. Number 23, Battle of Thermopylae, 480 BC. The Battle of Thermopylae, immortalized by the heroic stand of King Leonidas and his 300 Spartans, occurred during Xerxes Thun's invasion of Greece. The narrow pass at Thermopylae allowed a small force to hold off the massive Persian army, estimated between 100,000 to 150,000. Leonidas, commanding around 7,000 Greek soldiers, delayed the Persian advance for 3 days. However, a local Greek named Ephialtes betrayed the defenders by revealing a path that allowed the Persians to outflank the Greeks. Leonidas dismissed most of his army but remained with his Spartans and 700 Thespians to fight to the death. Though the Persians won, the Greeks' sacrifice inspired later victories at Salamis and Plataea, leading to the eventual defeat of the Persian invasion and solidifying Thermopylae's place in history as a symbol of courage and resistance against overwhelming odds. Number 22, Battle of Gaugamela, 331 BC. The Battle of Gaugamela saw Alexander the Great secure a decisive victory over the Persian Empire, led by Darius III. Despite being heavily outnumbered, with Persian forces ranging from 100,000 to 200,000 against Alexander's 47,000 troops, Alexander used tactical brilliance to outmaneuver his enemy. By drawing the Persian cavalry away from the center and exploiting gaps in the enemy lines, Alexander was able to launch a direct assault on Darius, causing the Persian king to flee. The Persian army collapsed, suffering massive casualties, while Alexander's army faced minimal losses. This victory marked the end of Persian power and the beginning of the Hellenistic era, with Greek culture spreading across the vast territories Alexander conquered. Number 21. Battle of Cannae, 216 BC. The Battle of Cannae during the Second Punic War is regarded as one of the greatest tactical masterpieces in military history. Hannibal Barca of Carthage faced a Roman army more than double the size of his own, about 86,000 Romans to 50,000 Carthaginians. Hannibal's genius lay in his encirclement strategy, luring the Roman forces into a trap. As the Roman legions pressed forward, Hannibal's forces enveloped them, cutting off any means of escape. The result was a catastrophic defeat for Rome, with up to 70,000 Roman soldiers killed. Despite this crushing victory, Hannibal was ultimately unable to capitalize on his success, and the Second Punic War continued, with Rome eventually triumphing. Nonetheless, Cannae remains a testament to Hannibal's military genius and the dangers of overconfidence in warfare. Number 20. Battle of Zama, 202 BC. The Battle of Zama was the final and decisive confrontation of the Second Punic War between Rome and Carthage. It was fought in 202 BC near Carthage, modern Tunisia. Roman general Scipio Africanus faced Hannibal Barca, who had returned from Italy to defend Carthage. Both armies were well matched in size, with around 35,000 to 40,000 troops each. Scipio's use of disciplined Roman legions and his strategy to neutralize Hannibal's war elephants gave Rome the upper hand. Hannibal's elephants, confused by the Roman tactics, were redirected through channels created by Scipio's troops, causing chaos within the Carthaginian lines. Scipio then launched a full assault, outmaneuvering Hannibal's forces and securing a decisive victory. The battle ended Carthage's power and ensured Rome's dominance in the Mediterranean, leading to the eventual rise of the Roman Empire. Number 19. Battle of the Milvian Bridge, 312 AD. The Battle of the Milvian Bridge was a pivotal moment in the rise of Christianity within the Roman Empire. Fought between the Roman emperors Constantine I and Maxentius, the battle took place near Rome over control of the Western Roman Empire. Before the battle, Constantine reportedly had a vision of the Christian cross with the words, "In this sign you will conquer." He ordered his soldiers to paint the Christian symbol on their shields. Constantine's forces decisively defeated Maxentius's army at the Milvian Bridge, leading to Maxentius's death as he drowned in the Tiber River. After his victory, Constantine became the sole ruler of the Western Roman Empire and later of the entire Roman Empire. The battle is significant because it marked Constantine's conversion to Christianity, leading to the Edict of Milan in 313 AD, which granted religious tolerance to Christians and paved the way for Christianity to become the dominant religion of the empire. Number 18. Battle of Adrianople, 378 AD. The Battle of Adrianople in 378 AD was a catastrophic defeat for the Roman Empire and a turning point in the decline of the Western Roman Empire. The battle was fought between the Eastern Roman Emperor Valens and the Gothic forces under Fritigern, who had revolted against the empire. Valens, eager for a swift victory, underestimated the strength of the Gothic army and engaged them without waiting for reinforcements. The Romans, numbering around 15,000 to 20,000, were outmaneuvered by the Goths, who ambushed the Roman forces. The battle ended in a disastrous Roman defeat, with Valens himself killed on the battlefield, along with 2/3 of his army. Adrianople shattered the myth of Roman invincibility and marked the beginning of the end for the Western Roman Empire, as the Goths and other barbarian tribes increasingly encroached on Roman territory. Number 17. Battle of Tours, 732 AD. The Battle of Tours, also known as the Battle of Poitiers, was a decisive moment in European history. Fought between Frankish and Islamic forces near Tours in present-day France, the battle saw the forces of Charles Martel, the Frankish leader, defeat the Umayyad Caliphate's army, halting the Muslim advance into Western Europe. The Muslim army, led by Abdul Rahman al-Ghafiqi, had been advancing northward from Spain, threatening to extend Muslim rule into Frankish territories. Charles Martel, with a well-prepared infantry, managed to halt the Umayyad cavalry charge. The Frankish forces held their ground, and in the ensuing battle, Abdul Rahman was killed, causing the Muslim forces to retreat. The victory at Tours preserved Christian dominance in Europe and is considered by many historians to be a critical factor in preventing the spread of Islam into Western Europe. Number 16. Battle of Hastings, 1066 AD. The Battle of Hastings was a defining moment in English history, leading to the Norman conquest of England. On October 14, 1066, the forces of William, Duke of Normandy, faced the army of King Harold II of England near the town of Hastings. William's army, consisting of cavalry, archers and infantry, was well prepared and disciplined. Harold's army, though battle-hardened after fighting at Stamford Bridge against the Norwegians, was mostly composed of infantry. The battle was fiercely contested, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. However, a feigned retreat by William's forces drew Harold's troops into a vulnerable position. During the final moments of the battle, Harold was killed, according to legend, struck in the eye by an arrow, leading to the collapse of the English army. William's victory at Hastings changed the course of English history, establishing Norman rule and profoundly influencing the English language, culture, and governance. Number 15. Battle of Hattin, 1187 AD. The Battle of Hattin was a pivotal engagement in the Crusades, fought on July 4, 1187, between the Crusader Kingdom of Jerusalem and the forces of the Muslim leader Saladin. The Crusader army, led by King Guy of Lusignan, was lured into the arid and waterless plains near the Horns of Hattin in modern-day Israel. Saladin's forces surrounded the Crusaders, cutting them off from water supplies and harassing them with mounted archers. Dehydrated and demoralized, the Crusader army was decisively defeated, with most of its forces either killed or captured, including King Guy. Saladin's victory at Hattin paved the way for the Muslim reconquest of Jerusalem, which fell to Saladin's forces later that year. The battle was a crushing blow to the Crusader states and marked the beginning of the end for Christian control of the Holy Land. It also set the stage for the Third Crusade, led by Richard the Lionheart. Number 14. Battle of Grunwald, 1410 AD. The Battle of Grunwald, also known as the Battle of Tannenberg, was one of the largest and most important battles of medieval Europe, fought on July 15, 1410, between the forces of the Polish-Lithuanian alliance and the Teutonic Knights. The Grand Duchy of Lithuania and the Kingdom of Poland, led by Grand Duke Vytautas and King Władysław II Jagiełło, sought to curb the expansion of the Teutonic Order, a military monastic organization that had been waging campaigns in Eastern Europe. The Teutonic Knights, renowned for their military prowess, faced a numerically superior enemy. The battle was fiercely contested, but by the end of the day, the Teutonic Order was decisively defeated, with Grand Master Ulrich von Jungingen killed in combat. The victory at Grunwald shattered the power of the Teutonic Order and shifted the balance of power in Eastern Europe in favor of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. It also strengthened the position of the Christian states in the region against external threats. Number 13. Fall of Constantinople, 1453 AD. The fall of Constantinople in 1453 was one of the most significant events in world history, marking the end of the Byzantine Empire and the rise of the Ottoman Empire. After centuries of decline, the Byzantine capital of Constantinople, long considered the heart of the Christian world, was besieged by the Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II. The city's defenders, numbering around 7,000, were vastly outnumbered by Mehmed's forces, estimated at over 80,000. Despite the heroic resistance of Emperor Constantine XI and his men, the walls of Constantinople were breached by Mehmed's forces, who employed large cannons and advanced siege tactics. On May 29, 1453, the city fell, and Emperor Constantine XI was killed in battle. The fall of Constantinople marked the end of the Byzantine Empire and the beginning of Ottoman dominance in the Eastern Mediterranean. It also had profound cultural and political consequences, as the fall of the city spurred European efforts to find new trade routes to Asia, eventually leading to the Age of Exploration. Number 12. Battle of Lepanto, 1571 AD. The Battle of Lepanto, fought on October 7, 1571, was a defining naval engagement between the Holy League, a coalition of Catholic states, and the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman fleet, under the command of Ali Pasha, had long dominated the Mediterranean, threatening Christian territories and control over trade routes. The Holy League, led by Don John of Austria, assembled a powerful fleet to confront the Ottomans near the Gulf of Patras in western Greece. The two fleets engaged in a fierce battle, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. However, superior firepower and tactics allowed the Holy League to overwhelm the Ottoman navy. Over 100 Ottoman ships were captured or destroyed, and around 20,000 Ottoman soldiers were killed or captured. The victory at Lepanto ended Ottoman naval expansion into the western Mediterranean and preserved European control over key sea routes. Although the battle did not destroy Ottoman power in the region, it was celebrated as a major triumph for Christian Europe and a turning point in the centuries-long conflict between Christian and Muslim powers. Number 11. Battle of Sekigahara, 1600 AD. The Battle of Sekigahara, fought on October 21, 1600, was the decisive conflict that established the Tokugawa shogunate, which would rule Japan for over 250 years. The battle was part of the broader struggle for power in Japan following the death of Toyotomi Hideyoshi, who had unified much of Japan but left behind a young heir. Two rival factions emerged, one led by Tokugawa Ieyasu and the other by Ishida Mitsunari, who sought to protect the Toyotomi legacy. Ieyasu's forces, numbering around 75,000, faced Mitsunari's coalition of about 80,000 troops at the plains of Sekigahara. The battle was hard fought, but key defections from Mitsunari's side, most notably by Kobayakawa Hideaki, turned the tide in favor of Ieyasu. Mitsunari's forces were routed, and Ieyasu emerged as the dominant power in Japan. 3 years later, in 1603, he was appointed shogun, marking the beginning of the Tokugawa period, a time of peace, stability, and isolation for Japan. Number 10. Battle of Vienna, 1683 AD. The Battle of Vienna, fought on September 11th to 12th, 1683, was a critical turning point in European history, marking the decline of the Ottoman Empire's expansion into Europe. The battle occurred after the Ottomans, under the command of Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa, laid siege to Vienna, the capital of the Habsburg Empire. With Vienna on the verge of collapse after 2 months of siege, a coalition of European forces, the Holy League, came to the city's rescue. The relief force was led by King Jan III Sobieski of Poland, whose army of 70,000 troops attacked the Ottomans. Sobieski's cavalry charge, including the famous Polish winged hussars, broke through the Ottoman lines, causing their forces to retreat in disarray. The defeat of the Ottoman army saved Vienna and prevented further Ottoman expansion into Europe. The victory at Vienna marked the beginning of a gradual decline in Ottoman power, and it reinforced the unity of European Christian states against the Muslim world. Number 9. Battle of Blenheim, 1704 AD. The Battle of Blenheim, fought on August 13, 1704, was a major engagement in the War of the Spanish Succession, where the forces of the Grand Alliance, led by the Duke of Marlborough and Prince Eugene of Savoy, secured a decisive victory over the French and Bavarian armies. France, under King Louis XIV, sought to dominate Europe by uniting the French and Spanish thrones. However, the victory of the Grand Alliance at Blenheim thwarted these ambitions. Marlborough's strategy of marching his army across Europe in a bold, secretive maneuver caught the French off guard. The battle resulted in the capture of Marshal Tallard, the French commander, and the annihilation of a significant portion of the French army. The defeat at Blenheim shattered French hopes of conquering Austria and severely weakened France's position in the war. The battle had long-term consequences for European politics, leading to a balance of power that would shape the continent for years to come. Number 8. Battle of Saratoga, 1777 AD. The Battle of Saratoga, fought in September and October 1777, was a pivotal victory for the American colonists during the American Revolutionary War. The two engagements, fought at Freeman's Farm and Bemis Heights, saw the American forces, led by General Horatio Gates and supported by Benedict Arnold, defeat British General John Burgoyne's army. Burgoyne's plan was to divide the rebellious colonies by advancing south from Canada, but he was met with fierce resistance. The American victory, which resulted in the surrender of Burgoyne's 5,800-strong army, had far-reaching consequences. Most significantly, it convinced France to enter the war as an ally of the United States, providing essential military and financial support that would ultimately lead to American independence. Saratoga is considered the turning point of the American Revolution, as it shifted the momentum of the war in favor of the American colonists. Number 7. Battle of Trafalgar, 1805 AD. The Battle of Trafalgar, fought on October 21, 1805, was a naval battle between the British Royal Navy and the combined fleets of France and Spain during the Napoleonic Wars. The British fleet, under the command of Admiral Horatio Nelson, decisively defeated the larger Franco-Spanish fleet, ensuring British naval supremacy for the remainder of the war. The battle took place off the coast of Spain near Cape Trafalgar. Nelson, who had a smaller fleet, employed unorthodox tactics by dividing his forces into two columns and sailing directly at the enemy lines, breaking them apart. Despite suffering heavy fire, Nelson's bold strategy succeeded. Nelson was mortally wounded during the battle, but his fleet achieved a stunning victory. The British lost no ships, while the Franco-Spanish fleet suffered the destruction or capture of 22 vessels. Trafalgar ended Napoleon's hopes of invading Britain and secured British control of the seas, which would remain unchallenged for over a century. Number 6. Battle of Waterloo, 1815 AD. The Battle of Waterloo, fought on June 18, 1815, marked the final defeat of Napoleon Bonaparte and brought an end to the Napoleonic Wars. After his return from exile on Elba, Napoleon sought to reassert his dominance in Europe. Facing a coalition of British, Prussian and other European forces, Napoleon launched his final campaign in Belgium. At Waterloo, Napoleon's army of around 73,000 troops faced the Duke of Wellington's British-led army of 68,000 and Marshal Blucher's Prussian army of 50,000. Despite initial success, Napoleon's forces were unable to break the Allied lines. Wellington's troops held firm, and the arrival of Blucher's Prussians sealed Napoleon's fate. By evening, the French army was in full retreat, and Napoleon was forced to abdicate once again, ending his rule and sending him into permanent exile on the island of St. Helena. The Battle of Waterloo reshaped the political landscape of Europe and led to a century of relative peace and stability. Number 5. Battle of Gettysburg, 1863 AD. The Battle of Gettysburg, fought from July 1st to July 3rd, 1863, was the bloodiest battle of the American Civil War and a turning point in the conflict. Confederate General Robert E. Lee's invasion of the North was met by Union forces led by General George Meade. The battle took place in and around the small town of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Over 3 days of fierce fighting, both sides suffered heavy casualties. The Union's defense of key positions, such as Little Round Top and Cemetery Hill, proved crucial in repelling Lee's forces. On the third day, Lee launched the ill-fated Pickett's Charge, a direct assault on the center of the Union lines, which resulted in devastating Confederate losses. Lee's army was forced to retreat, and the battle marked the beginning of the Confederacy's decline. The Union victory at Gettysburg, combined with the fall of Vicksburg on July 4th, was a turning point in the war and paved the way for the eventual Union triumph. Number 4. Battle of the Somme, 1916 AD. The Battle of the Somme, fought between July and November 1916, was one of the largest and bloodiest battles of World War I. The British and French forces, under the command of General Sir Douglas Haig, launched an offensive against the German army along a 15-mile front near the River Somme in northern France. The aim was to relieve pressure on the French forces at Verdun and break through the German lines. The battle began on July 1st, 1916, with a massive artillery bombardment followed by an infantry assault. However, the German defenses were far stronger than anticipated, and the British suffered 57,000 casualties on the first day alone, the worst in British military history. Despite the initial failures, the offensive continued for months, with both sides suffering horrific losses in the brutal trench warfare that characterized the Western Front. By the end of the battle in November, the Allies had advanced only a few miles, at the cost of over 1 million casualties, 420,000 British, 200,000 French, and 465,000 German. Although the battle did not achieve its strategic objectives, it weakened the German army and forced the Germans to shift resources away from Verdun. The Battle of the Somme is remembered for its staggering human cost and the devastating impact of modern industrial warfare. Number 3. Battle of Midway, 1942 AD. The Battle of Midway, fought from June 4th to June 7th, 1942, was a critical naval battle in the Pacific theater of World War II. Following their success at Pearl Harbor, the Japanese Navy sought to eliminate the U.S. Pacific Fleet and gain control of Midway Atoll, a strategic location in the Central Pacific. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto planned to lure the American carriers into a trap and destroy them. However, U.S. intelligence had broken Japanese naval codes, allowing Admiral Chester W. Nimitz to prepare a counter-ambush. When the Japanese fleet, consisting of 4 carriers, launched their attack on Midway, American planes from the carriers USS Enterprise, USS Hornet, and USS Yorktown ambushed the Japanese fleet. Despite suffering heavy losses early in the battle, U.S. dive bombers struck a decisive blow, sinking 3 Japanese carriers, Akagi, Kaga, and Soryu, in a matter of minutes. Later that day, the 4th carrier, Hiryu, was also sunk. The U.S. lost the carrier Yorktown, but the victory was decisive. The destruction of 4 Japanese carriers, along with many of Japan's best pilots, ended Japan's ability to conduct major offensive operations in the Pacific. The Battle of Midway shifted the balance of naval power in favor of the United States and marked the turning point in the war against Japan. Number 2. Battle of Stalingrad, 1942 to 1943 AD. The Battle of Stalingrad, fought between August 1942 and February 1943, was one of the largest and deadliest battles in history and a turning point in World War II. The German Sixth Army, led by General Friedrich Paulus, launched an offensive to capture the Soviet city of Stalingrad on the Volga River. Adolf Hitler saw the city's capture as essential for securing the southern front and cutting off Soviet access to oil resources in the Caucasus. However, Soviet forces, led by General Vasily Chuikov, mounted a tenacious defense of the city. The brutal urban combat lasted for months, with both sides suffering massive casualties. In November 1942, the Soviets launched a counter-offensive, Operation Uranus, encircling the German forces in the city. Despite Hitler's orders to fight to the last man, Paulus eventually surrendered in February 1943. The defeat of the German army at Stalingrad marked the beginning of the Nazi retreat from the Eastern Front and was a major blow to German morale. Soviet casualties were estimated at over 1 million, while the Germans lost approximately 750,000 men. The victory at Stalingrad bolstered Soviet morale and shifted the momentum of the war in favor of the Allies. Number 1. D-Day, Normandy invasion, 1944 AD. D-Day, the Normandy invasion on June 6, 1944, was the largest amphibious assault in history and marked the beginning of the liberation of Western Europe from Nazi control during World War II. Codenamed Operation Overlord, the invasion involved the forces of the United States, Britain, Canada, and other Allied nations. Under the command of General Dwight D. Eisenhower, the Allies landed on 5 beaches along the Normandy coast: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword, after months of careful planning and preparation. The Germans, commanded by Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, had heavily fortified the coast, but Allied deception tactics convinced them that the invasion would occur elsewhere. The landings were preceded by a massive airborne assault and naval bombardment. While some beaches, like Utah and Gold, saw relatively light resistance, Omaha Beach became a bloodbath for the American forces, who faced intense German fire from well-entrenched positions. Despite heavy casualties, the Allies succeeded in securing the beaches and pushing inland. The success of the Normandy invasion marked the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. By the end of June, over 850,000 Allied troops had landed in France, and the liberation of Paris followed in August 1944. D-Day is remembered as a crucial step toward the Allied victory in World War II and the defeat of Hitler's regime. And that concludes our countdown of the 25 most important battles in world history. These battles, fought across centuries and continents, have left an indelible mark on human civilization. Each one altered the course of history, shaping nations, empires, and the world as we know it today. From ancient times to the modern era, the lessons and legacies of these battles continue to resonate. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history's most decisive conflicts. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores the events and figures that shaped our world. Until next time, remember, history is not just about the past. It's the key to understanding our future.